Today, I thought it would be fun if I showed you guys how we keep all of our milk equipment clean for those that were interested. So, what I do every morning when I come in here in the barn is I fill this sink up. So this is a 3-basin sink. This one on the far side is a catch-all for our dirty rags that when we use them, we throw them over there. The first one has hot water with detergent and bleach as our disinfectant. And then the middle one always is our clean water basin. And that always has the clean water that we do our final rinse for everything in it. Now, when I fill these up, I have a set of rags. Each cow gets their own rag, and those go into that bleach detergent solution so that when they come in, they will get cleaned with those. And before they get cleaned with those, they get what is called an iodine pre-post dip. So let me show you what that looks like. So if the cow's bag is moderately clean, meaning it's not covered in, like, let's call it mud, then they just get this. Otherwise, they'd be wiped down first and then get this. This is the pre-post wash. This is an iodine solution, and the teat goes in there. You squirt the solution in there, and it sanitizes the teat. You leave that on there for an entire minute to make sure that everything is disinfected, and then it gets wiped off before the claw goes on. And the claw is what sucks out all the milk. So I'm going to get these girls in, and then we're going to sanitize their bags with the iodine. Wait a minute, and then we're going to wipe it off with those rags that are sitting in that detergent bleach solution. So here we have Miss Reba. She's always pretty clean. She's also leaking right now because she knows what time it is. So we're going to take this wash cup and put it on everyone. I try to do the farthest ones first so I don't get iodine all over my hands. And we let this sit for a minute before I'll come back and wipe it off. Now we're going to come over here to Coco, do the same thing. Good morning, Coco. And then go over to what's her name? Elsa. Good Lord. Elsa sometimes is pretty dirty, mainly because she's shorter and her bag hangs down lower, but she looks pretty good today. So we're just going to go ahead and throw that on there. And so while they're sitting with this, that is when I typically will go and get the pails and the hoses and set it up, because that gives them a good minute, sometimes over a minute, to let that solution sit on there. So this is what our setup looks like. We've got the pail here, and inside the pail there is a gasket, and then the lid sets on top. This is the pulsator. That's what makes it go kind of like a calf suckling. We've got the vacuum hose, and this is the hose that the milk goes into. So the vacuum hose has an on-off valve that goes up into the ceiling, and they're all connected to each cow, which it gets connected to this motor over here, which I'm about to turn on, and it's probably going to be really loud. So y'all just prepare yourselves. Hopefully you can hear me. That gets turned on, and then we grab one of these rags. I grab 2. Come over here to Miss Reba. Set one over here for Coco. Clean off Miss Reba. And this is when we're just wiping down the iodine off of her bag. Once her bag is wiped down, then we just squirt the teats a couple of times. That gets any bacteria that could have possibly been built up in the teat out. We turn on this vacuum line, make sure this is pumping, and then put the claw on, which I don't think I can do with one hand, so I'm gonna let you guys go. Hold on. So now that they're all hooked up, as you can see, nothing touches the ground, everything is sterilized, and it all goes directly into this pail. Reba's actually almost finished, so is Coco. I'm gonna set up this funnel now. We have this funnel. Hold on, let me try to get this together for you guys real quick so you can see. This is hard to do one-handed. So the funnel has a screen, I don't think you guys can see it, that goes right at the base of it. But we double filter ours. So I'll put this paper filter in here, which is very thick. And then, well, that thing goes on there and clamps it in so it stays. And that is what goes on top of the milk vat, which I have to wipe down because it gets dusty sometimes. So we put the funnel on there when the girls are all milked out with a double filter, pour the milk in there, and it goes directly into this vat. Okay, now that Miss Elsa is done, we are going to dip her one last time, and we leave that on there to air dry, and that will stay on and keep her from getting any kind of bacteria that may build up in the teat. If you leave the milk in the teat without disinfecting or at least wiping them off, if they don't have the calf on them, it can create bacteria to colonize at the ends here of the teat and cause infections and things. So that's why we do that. She's making a giant mess. And we're gonna come around and let her out. Reba and Coco are already done. Good morning, Coco. And take the giant bar out from behind her, so now she can leave if she wants to. They never want to leave. They always want to just stand here and eat. Huh, Coco. So now that the milk has been poured through this double filter funnel, put the lid on top, and all of the milk is now in this vat, cooling down to 34 degrees, 32, somewhere around there, to get cold. This usually takes about 30 minutes depending on how full the vat is, and then all the pails come into this hot, soapy bleach water where they get disinfected. We wipe the outside and the inside, rinse them with hot water, and then they come up here to hang and drip dry. It's important that they drip dry and get all of the water out, because any kind of pooling of water whatsoever can breed bacteria, and that's why we do it this way. And then we also will take the lids, and the gaskets do the same. They also dry. Everything gets hung up here. And then what I'm going to show you next, once I get all this washed up, is that these hoses also get ran through with detergent and bleach as well through the system. So this same motor that runs the vacuum side for our milking stalls also runs the vacuum for this cleaner. So this pulses the detergent and bleach solution through all of these lines that had milk running through them, and I'm going to turn the engine on. It's going to be loud again, and you'll see the water going up and down into this container and then feeding out of this I don't know, drain, I guess, and it just goes right back into here. The pulsators gets put up there so they don't get wet. Let's turn this on. It's gonna be loud. And then open up the valve. And what it's doing is it's sucking up a bunch of that detergent and bleach into this container. Once the hot water and detergent and bleach is run through all these lines, it then goes into the clean water basin where it is continued to run for a few minutes, and then we hang it all up to dry. So this will come over here and get hung up. All these lines get hung up, and the reason why they need to be hung up is so that, again, the water's not sitting in those hose lines and pooling. So like the dips here in the hoses, that's a no-no. We need to drain all the water out and make sure that they get all the water out, and then it all sits here to dry for later use this afternoon. And then we